in the beer industry since reverb is freaking me out. There you go. A lot has changed since we had Dogfish Head that many years ago. 9 years ago. Crazy. Yeah. And they are still doing crazy off-centered ales as they were back then. And a lot more people are, which is awesome. You know, I think they're definitely innovators in this industry and all the stuff that we drink now and we think is normal now. Back then, sure wasn't. So they're definitely the godfathers, the grandfathers, and the innovators of all the stuff that we drink now. So I'm really happy to have them back again. And yeah, because we have so many, like 7,000 breweries now in the United States, and I fucking love when people like Sierra Nevada and people that have just been around since it wasn't a thing are still kicking ass and making great beers. And we're gonna taste a bunch of them tonight, but I'll stop talking and hand over the mic. And
thank you.
Yeah, you guys know what the drill is.
I think the drill is to drink, so don't mess it up. So my name is Kirsten.
Hi,
and
Kirsten.
Hello. I'm not going to ask everybody their names, but I get the gist that you all like beer, so that's what's important. I've been working for Dogfish Head since 2016. I've been in the beer industry since 2013. And the day that I got offered the job at Dogfish Head, I literally cried on the phone with the recruiter. I was like in tears, and she's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll be fine." And it's been a really wild ride. I do have to give a shout out to two fellows in the room. We have Chris and we have Sean. They work for our new distributor.
Cool.
So we were with like the worst distributor in all of New York City, and now we're with the best distributor in all of New York City. So thank you guys for.
Who's the best?
Union Beer.
That's right.
Woo! Without these guys, like this probably would not be happening. Mike can speak to that. You might not have had the beer show up on time, but it's here. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of oral history of Dogfish Head, which some of you might know more than I do, just because you live next to the brewery, and you may have taken the tour more than I have. But basically the gist is, my glasses are like way too dirty. So Sam Calagione, and that's how you say his last name, say it with me, Calagione.
Calagione, the Bison.
Sure. So Sam Calagione grew up in Massachusetts, and he went to college in Pennsylvania. He went to Muhlenberg University, and he graduated. That's something I have to get that out of the way. He did graduate college. A lot of people think he dropped out or he flunked out, but he did. And then he was going to pursue, writing was his passion. He wanted to be a writer. He got accepted to Columbia University. He moved to New York City. He was trying to make ends meet. He was a model, because if you haven't seen a picture of Sam Calagione, he is a total babe. So he was a model.
Oh my.
Little known fact, he was actually one of the actors on the Ricky Lake show. So way back when. He really was. And then he was working at Nacho Mama's Burritos in the Upper West Side, I believe it was. And that was where he had his first craft beer ever. He had, I think it was Sierra Nevada Celebration on draft, and that was like it for him. Once he drank that, he was like, I need to do this. So he got all this home brewing kit, and he went to his apartment. He passed his local bodega, and he saw this pathetic looking bag of cherries. We've all seen it. Sometimes it's bananas, and you're like, that's really questionable stuff. He grabbed it, decided to put it in his beer. He was brewing a pale ale, had no idea that the cherries would turn his beer sour, but it did. He had a party at his apartment to kick it off with his two roommates, who I always forget their names, but has anybody seen the show Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
The little guy?
Joe, for sure.
Yeah, so him, and then Wet Hot American Summer. Anyone seen that? You want to get up here, man? Because I'm forgetting their names already. But that was Sam Calagione's roommates, and everybody was at this party. They were drinking. Sam got up on a table, very inebriated, and declared that he was dropping out of college to open a brewery. Then he woke up the next morning and realized he had to tell his parents what he was doing. So his family always vacationed on the coast of Maine. So he was up there with his dad. They were running on the beach, and mid-run, he told his dad, I'm going to drop out of college, and I'm going to open a brewery. And this is pre-95, so this is unheard of. And there was like awkward silence for a couple of yards, almost a mile, whatever. Hello! And then all of a sudden, to break the awkward silence, his dad goes, Dogfish Head. And Sam's like, what? The street that they were passing was called Dogfish Head Lane because that's where the dogfish sharks breed. And his dad said, that's a good name for a brewery. So that was his blessing. His dad let him, gave him, I think, a pretty decent check. He was the first investor in Dogfish Head. His dad was a dentist. His dad was like a dentist up until a couple of years ago, which is really weird. We get a lot of people that are like, oh, Sam's dad worked in my mouth. But then that's how Dogfish Head was born. His high school sweetheart, Mariah Calagione now, she grew up in Delaware, and they decided that they were going to open the brewery in Delaware because they would be the first brewery in the state. So Sam decided to open up a brew pub, and when he was selling beer out of the restaurant, they almost got shut down because the laws said that they were not allowed to do that. So Sam literally had to change the laws in Delaware himself. He like went door to door and got all this stuff, like legislation. And they changed the laws in Delaware so that they could legally brew and sell beer out of the brew pub. They opened the doors in 1995, and ever since then they've been making beer. Little known fact, the first beer that Dogfish Head as a brewery ever released was our pumpkin ale. Has anybody ever heard of the Chuckin' Pumpkin contest?
Yeah!
So that's a big festival that happened in Delaware. They decided to enter the food aspect with the pumpkin ale, and Sam hand drew on the label the Dogfish logo, and that was the first beer we ever made before we opened the doors. Ooh. So that's kind of how Dogfish Head got started. I'm sure you guys know, like, it blew up. We have Brewing and Eats as a restaurant. We have Chesapeake and Maine as a restaurant. You guys are getting a beer now. We're starting with 4th and Gold, right? Who has the 4th and Gold sign in front of them? You do. I'm going to take that from you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions about how Dogfish Head came to be? The origins of Dogfish Head?
No, but I got free tickets and we went to the brewery on the winter.
Thank you.
Long time ago.
I bet you had a lot of fun.
We rented a hotel as well at the previous, yeah. It was cheap to rent the hotel because it was the winter.
Yep.
Do the brew pub and taste a bunch of stuff. Where they served food. Dover? No, man, maybe I'm wrong. I don't
Milton
know.
in Rehoboth Beach.
Yes.
Yes, and also we now have the Dogfish Head Inn in Lewis. But I was told everybody here gets a special discount and gets to stay in his house because he lives by the brewery. So. So the first beer you guys are drinking is 4th and Gold. This was actually kind of like a cross-country collaboration between us, New Belgium, and Sierra Nevada. So we got to release it on the East Coast, New Belgium got to release it in the middle, and Sierra Nevada got to release it on the West Coast. So as you can see, it is only 5% ABV and 25 IBUs. Do you guys know what IBUs are?
Yes.
International Bitter Units.
You did it. You got it. Do you want a sticker? Because you get a sticker.
Woo! Oh, look, the Grateful Dead.
And I was told that you guys like to know about ingredients in your beer.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to know the ingredients of this beer?
I don't live in America.
All right, freedom of ingredients. So your malts are 2-row carapils, malted wheat, dark English crystal malt. Your hops. Wait, who thinks they know hops the best here?
Uh-oh.
I know there's some brewers in the house.
Yeah.
I'm not calling you out, but I'm kind of calling you out. Is that a no? You don't want to guess?
I'll guess.
All right, tell me. I will tell you there are 4 types of hops.
Saz, Milfram, Hallertau,
No.
Golden,
No. No.
Bubbles.
No.
Cascade.
Cascade!
That's
I'll give you a hint. There's 4 C's.
Columbus, Centennial.
Centennia, Cascade, Citra, and it's also a cleaning product.
Common.
Comet. You get a sticker! Oh, and you do too, whoever picks it up. All right, other ingredients included in this are the grapefruit, peel, Himalayan peppercorns, and grains of paradise. And I don't know anything about football, but this has something to do with football.
What?
4th and goal. I don't know football references, but
Probably 4th and goal.
Fourth and goal.
this maybe.
4th and goal.
I thought that was soccer.
No.
I thought touchdown was football. I do know some things about football. Where do I see? Who wants it? Don't drop it.
No.
Thank you.
That's why we live in America.
Is this it?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. This is the first time I'm actually having this beer. Also,
Oh, that's good.
it's very good. It's terrific. It's so light and crisp. Oh no! Now I got the two brewers started. Stop it! Stop it! Go brew your own beer. Do I have any questions so far? Maybe any corrections from people in the back?
No.
This guy knows more.
At what point did he started selling the homebrew Sabrico systems?
I have no idea. That I have no clue.
They started on a Sabrico.
Yeah, when he started in the brew club.
Yeah, when he started, when he sold it.
When he started selling, or why he started.
Yeah. They sell them?
I didn't know
Oh,
that.
sorry, I missed that. Dogfish Head sells the Sabrico? Yeah, he's promoting it now, right? Okay.
Oh,
See?
it's always his thing, right?
See, I
Very
don't know.
nice. I like it.
Let me ask the brewers. Hold on.
Very good.
That wasn't in
It's private information. We're not allowed to talk about it.
Also, like, how many year-round stuff that like constantly is made? You know, like,
A lot.
There's a lot of like one-offs.
Yeah, we do a lot of one-offs. We do a lot of like, we call them occasionals instead of occasionals. We have art series instead of seasonals. But basically, like, we focus on 5 brands all year. So it's 60-minute, 90-minute, Namaste, Seaquench, and Liquid Truth Serum are our focus. But that's not to say like we don't have other brands. It's different per market. Like we used to have a couple other things here, but they just were not really turning the wheel for us, so we kind of pulled them out. We used to have Indian Brown Ale, which was my favorite beer. It went on hiatus, unfortunately, so we're not making that currently. But American Beauty, yes.
I was told that was Sam's favorite as well.
So it's actually the first beer that Brian Zelders ever made for us, who like is kind of like our famous original head brewer, and now he's our brew ambassador. And yeah, it's Sam's favorite. It's a lot of our favorites, but unfortunately, it found its way in the wrong stores and it didn't move, so we pulled it.
So, what's the availability with 120 minutes? I know
120 minute is, we usually release it twice a year, but this year we changed that and we're only releasing it once this year, so it will be available at the end. But we do have Worldwide Stout coming to the market very soon.
I had one of the, I think it was you guys. My mom and I, we had this 18% alcohol beer.
That's a lot of beers we make.
It was like really fruity. It had a lot of fruit in it.
Fruitful Fort?
I think that might have been it.
Yes.
And that one was kind of in between. I feel that like when you have like really strong alcohol beers, they're either like a slap to the face every time you sip it, or they go down really smooth, and then you wake up the next morning wondering what you did.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Join the club.
But I really that one was in between. Like if you try to sip it fast, the alcohol was like really intense.
Yeah.
But if you drank it kind of like a liquor, like you drank it slowly,
Yeah.
it went down really smooth.
Yeah, and especially some of those beers too. Like, if anybody here has gotten the chance to try our high ABV beers, I tend to put my hands on both sides of the cup so it warms up a little bit, and then it kind of opens up the beer a little more, and you get a total different experience drinking it, and it goes down smoother.
You guys ever do the 40 again?
Thank you.
You guys did a whole like around.
Actually, coming soon, a 40-ounce can of 120 minute. Just kidding, that's not real.
You just make stuff up.
My name is John. I work for Doghead Fish. This is Seaquench Ale.
Ooh,
Okay, this
lovely.
is my favorite beer.
Fractions on that.
This is my favorite beer we make right now. maybe ever. And a lot of people that work in the industry find that they love this beer.
Which one is this?
So this is Seaquench. Who's got the Seaquench thing in front of them? You do. I don't need it, but it's there, so
Oh,
if
this is the
anybody's
sour ale.
interested.
You have to read it. I'm pressing in front of me.
with the wing sauce on your
I got it.
fingers.
Go ahead.
So, I will show you real quick that little black lime wedge. It's a black lime. Does anybody here know what a black lime is?
No, I didn't even know they existed.
So black limes are typically like, thank you, South American or Persian, and they're these small limes boiled in ocean water and then dehydrated, and in the process they turn black, and they're really, really hard on the outside, but they're very lightweight. And when you crack them open, the like pulpy flesh of the lime is like sticky like candy. So when you eat it, it kind of takes away the acidity, but it's still got that really punchy lime flavor. So we take those and we use like an old apple press and we hand grind them and infuse the beer with them.
Wow.
So Seaquench Ale is, there are so many different stories about this beer, but like to keep it relatively simple, it's 3 different styles in sequence and Seaquench Ale. So it starts as a very clean, nothing added Kolsch with Kolsch yeast. And then we do a Berliner Weiss, which we add lime juice and lime peel. And then we have a Goza that we add the black limes and 2 types of sea salt originally. We used to send trucks up to Maine, and we would send a truck to the Chesapeake Bay area, and they would collect water from both water sources, and then we would extract the salt ourselves and put that in the beer.
Wow.
That proved to be way too expensive to keep doing because the beer became very popular. So we actually collaborated with the National Aquarium in Baltimore, and we like linked up with some microbiologists, and we were able to mimic the same exact salt molecules. So we still use those same type of salts, but we're making it with the aquarium. Also, Sam got the inspiration for this beer because Sam Calagione is a regular person, and he's friends with Jeff Gordon, like any of us would be, right? Jeff Gordon, the NASCAR driver. And he went down to the NASCAR track, and Jeff Gordon was like hooked up to all these wires and stuff in his car, and apparently the Gatorade Foundation was getting samples of him while he was driving at like over 100 miles an hour. And then they were formulating a very specific special blend to like replenish his body while he's driving. So Sam, the first thing he asks is to meet the scientist. So this beer, I'm not supposed to say it, but I'm going to say it has more electrolytes than Gatorade does.
I believe it says a boatload.
A boatload of electrolytes. I came up with that myself today. I was like, I can't say buttload, but I can say boatload. So yeah, it's got a boatload of electrolytes. It's also only 140 calories and 9 grams of carbs. So while it's rehydrating you as you're drinking it, it's also super light and crushable. So
It's a good hangover drink.
yeah, Sam's like go-to, which I haven't tried it yet because like when I hang out with my coworkers, there's usually liquor involved, so it doesn't work. But his hangover cure is to chug a pint of water and to chug a can of Seaquench, take an Advil, and go to bed. I mean, it's not science, it's Sam, but that's all. He's brilliant, so maybe it is science.
I have a funny thing. I was watching Booze Traveler on Travel Channel.
Mm-hmm.
The band?
There's a band called Booze Traveler?
Blues Traveler.
Booze
I thought it
Traveler.
was blues too.
No,
Blues Traveler.
it's called Booze Traveler, and it's a really interesting show because you learn about like all these different types of like booze, basically. And he was in Austria, and he was at this party where like they were making this rum cake, but like the people he was with, they kept like knocking back Austrian rum. They're just knocking back more of this Austrian rum, and he wakes up with a hangover, and he's at this inn like near a ski resort, and they have this traditional Hungarian. No, I keep messing up the country. He's in Austria. They have a traditional Austrian hangover meal, and it comes with this tall, slim glass of beer, and then a bunch of like cured meats, sausages, and stuff like that. And that's their hangover cure.
Are you guys going to bring that out for us tonight? Is that part of the deal?
coming out right now.
Who's got the Hungarian meats?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm into that.
It's funny because I'm like, I say Austria, and then the next sentence I'll say Hungary. I'm like,
Listen,
2 different countries.
Same story though, right?
Yeah.
It's meats and beers to fix a hangover.
Wow.
But does anybody have any questions about this beer? Yes.
Now, I love Gozas. Goza is my favorite type of beer.
Awesome.
I mean, like, when you have your lagers, your pilsners, and stuff like that, Goza has a special place in my heart because if you've ever seen a traditional Goza, it's in this weird bottle. And I saw it at Flagship when they had just recently opened. They had these books about beer, and one of them was by this guy named by Michael, I think his name is like Michael Jackson.
Yep.
Literally.
R.I.P. Well, both, but like more so the beer one.
Michael Jackson, the beers of the world.
Definitely different. Not the
Different.
same habits at all.
Totally different Michael Jackson. His thing, and it was like, I'm flipping through it, and all of a sudden it talks about Goza. And it's from Leipzig, Germany, and there's sea salt and coriander.
Leipziger Goza.
Mm-hmm. And the first one I ever had was, shoot, I can't remember what it was, what company made it, but it was like Interstate something or Route 115, and it has this little bear and a street sign on it.
Do you know this beer? I don't know this beer.
It's like a blood orange Goza.
Oh, Anderson Valley.
Yeah, it was really good. And but I've had like the OG ones from Leipzig, Germany. So my question is that, do you brew a Goza beer and then mix it in, or is it like Goza beer process mixed into the beer?
So we brew the 3 styles basically in sequence of each other. So it's kind of like we do the Kolsch first, and then we do the Berliner Weiss, and then the Goza. But I should say this beer, one thing I left out was we brewed it in honor of, I think it was like I can't say in honor of, but we brewed it for the 400th anniversary of the Rheinheitsgebot, which, does anybody here know what the Rheinheitsgebot is? If you do, I'll give you a hat.
Which is something.
Raise your hand if you know the Rheinheitsgebot. I gotta say, Chris raised his hand first, not high, but he still raised it. Chris, do you know what the Rheinheitsgebot is? Oh, I'm gonna.
When was it? When did it come out?
400 years ago.
That's great.
You know what? You both get hats. Woo! Watch me throw this. Oh.
It seems like that law.
Okay, you want to duck because you're kind of tall.
Seems like that.
Sorry.
It
Wait.
seems like that law is completely against what Dogfish has.
And so we brewed it as a middle finger to the Rheinheitsgebot.
Yeah.
Because like the Rheinheitsgebot, for those who don't know, is the German purity law. It says beer can only consist of barley, hops, water, and yeast. And we were the ones that, like, in the early 90s got called out for putting fruit in our beer. Someone was like, you only put fruit in a salad, not in a beer. And we're like, watch us.
And then a couple years later, you put spit in it.
So actually, we just did that beer again like 2 years ago, and I had to chew the corn for it, and it's awful. It's so,
I've heard of that.
terrible.
I've heard of that.
And
I thought it was like the purity law was like to affect only isinglass and shit like that.
it's the German brewing,
So
like,
four things.
yeah, it's just the 4 ingredients, and that's it. But yeah, Chicha was a beer we made that we had to chew blue Peruvian corn, and it was like the worst day of like eating wise.
I'm like, what's going on?
So one thing I'm sure some like diehards in here know, we did have a TV show. They started airing Blue Moon commercials during our time slot, and then because we didn't like it and we put up a fight, they kept pushing our airtime back, and they said like
Seaquench beer.
us and everybody else kind of fought the corporate agenda, and because of that we got pushed off the channel completely. And Sam was like, you know what, later guys. Yeah, so
It was excellent.
we came out with Seaquench. We're good. But we are on American Beauty, Dragons and Yum Yums. So Dragons and Yum Yums, I think it's right there. I think it's in the middle. Woo, thank you.
Smells nice.
So I'm just learning some of the ingredients because I was under the assumption that we're like not allowed to know the hop blends of some of our beers, but like I'm tight with one of our R&D brewers and he told me everything, so this doesn't leave this room. But does anybody, without looking at the signs, does anybody know the name of our house yeast?
No.
It's doggy yeast. Did I hear that? Did I hear something? Doggy yeast. That's the name of our house yeast. So Dragons and Yum Yums is a collaboration we came out with last year with a band called the Flaming Lips. Ooh. What did you say?
LSD.
Well, that's the next Let's American Beauty. So the Flaming Lips are a really popular, like, crazy off-centered band. We're a crazy off-centered brewery. So we decided to collaborate with them in honor of Record Store Day, which is a holiday. It's like basically our St. Patrick's. This year it is April 13th. It is a day to go out to your local record shops and buy vinyl music and support local independent businesses. And we are the independent beer. So this beer is the only beer that we know of that has its own theme song. If you go on YouTube, the Flaming Lips wrote 2 songs for us about this beer. So that's really cool. Yeah, they came out with 2 music videos. We did like a beer-filled vinyl release last year for it, and it was filled with this beer.
The vinyl?
Yeah, it was in the vinyl, so the vinyl was clear and had the liquid inside, and it was really cool.
That's cool. I want it.
Get that on Amazon?
I don't think you get it. You might be able to get it on eBay.
This Saturday at Flagship.
You want it?
Don't forget, well, that shit.
I was saying there's a record fair this Saturday at Flagship. It might or may be there. Never know.
Probably not.
So this beer, these hops are. Does anybody want to take a guess? I'll give you a hint. There's Citra in it. Ooh. All right. It is Citra Mosaic, and I always mess this one up. Motueka. Motueka. Native American. It's not native Kirsten.
No, it's
okay. Yeah, that still makes sense. The ingredients in this one. It's called Dragons and Yum Yum. So there's dragon fruit in it and yum berries. Does anybody know what a yum berry is?
I've had it in food.
You've had it?
In food.
In food. So yum berries are Japanese strawberries. So they're smaller and cuter and way better. There's also passion fruit and pears in it, and this beer is super rad. Like I said, it's the only beer that has its own soundtrack, so that's pretty cool. Are you all enjoying? Look at the color, too.
It's pretty.
It's a very pretty color. Yes. Yes.
What style of beer would you say?
So I would say this is. That's actually been debated at the brewery too. Like.
That says American Pale Ale.
Yeah. So like some people, I think it's a pale ale with fruit. Some people call it a tropical pale ale.
Tropical pale ale.
So yeah, it's a fruit beer. It's a fruited pale ale. There you go. 2 brewers are here, so they know everything about beer except the hops in these beers. Just kidding. But okay, anybody else have any questions about this or about the Flaming Lips?
Do you have any records coming up?
I don't know actually. Never mind. No questions about the Flaming Lips. The lead singer's name is Wayne Coyne, and we actually have a costume party we do every year for our holiday party. It's called Holiday Hootenanny. Every year the theme changes. This year was called Dogfish Head Rocks, so it was like mostly music. There were a couple people that came dressed as rocks, but Sam Calagione dressed up as Wayne Coyne, which if you find pictures,
awesome.
if you Google image search Wayne Coyne,
White suit?
he had the red suit with like the loose tie, and then Mariah Calagione, Sam's wife, was dressed up as Miley Cyrus from the VMAs. It was a very weird costume. It made a lot of people uncomfortable.
Was she like totally naked with a ball?
No, she had leggings on to look like she wasn't wearing pants. So, but does anybody have any other questions about this beer or anything so far?
Is it regular? Easy accessible? Is it?
So this just landed at Union Beer, who we gave a shout out earlier to, but it is only available like a very limited window, I would say. It's a part of our art series, so basically every draft and bottles, 6-pack bottles. Thank you. You're doing my job, man. I keep forgetting. Feed it to me. So yes, this is available in 6-pack bottles, and I will pass this around. The artwork on the top, that is the artwork on the 6-pack, and then the artwork on the right-hand side, that is the artwork for Record Store Day, which everybody here gets to go home with one of these. So again, we are the official beer of Record Store Day. We always change the artwork every year, so a lot of people, what they do is they actually frame them because they're super rad. We change artists, we change everything. This one, I haven't tried it yet, but it glows under a black light. I don't know if you freaks have a black light at home, but...
So Kirsten, I know it's seasonal. What's the availability till?
So if you guys don't go out of stock on it, it should be available until our summer release. So
get like May-ish.
Yeah, it should be May-ish.
And the bottles in store now?
Yeah, they actually just got them. So actually, this is another kind gentleman from Union Beer. This is Matt Tinsley. So we gave Union Beer a shout out because we reminisced about our days with Oak Beverages. And who's the best distributor in New York City? Who remembers?
Union Beer.
Union Beer.
You get a sticker.
Oh, yeah.
So
question is, are you guys going to bring it down to like Beverage Island or Holiday?
Of course, both.
Woo!
There you go. Search no
Probably
further.
Champ and Willowbrook as well.
Champ and Willowbrook.
Oh, Champs, right on line. Oh, okay. Because I have to say, Champs, they don't seem to have a really great expansive beer. Sorry.
I'll talk to Alex about it.
You better, because like I had to go to Beverage Island to get like all the coolest beers. But like,
Alan,
if he could
how am I doing?
Okay.
You're doing the right job.
Awesome. I haven't walked out yet, so that's
much
good.
closer than Beverage Island.
You represent Dogfish. You got a cheerful attitude. You smile a lot.
Can you write us a Yelp review? I'll tell you how to spell my name later.
All right, we'll Yelp you all.
You can email the brewery.
I told you, the last person that came here was John Wolfe.
I'll give you a good review for a job.
I just want to stay working at Dogfish.
Watch out.
Unless someone has $1 million job on the line, then I'm available. But.
Well,
all right. I'm going to interrupt this moment. Y'all have to raise your hand. Who can tell me which college did Sam Calagione graduate from?
Wardenburg.
You can't. You live in the brewery. You got a hat.
How much merch do you have already?
All right. Who knows what he said? What'd he say?
Wardenburg?
No. What college did Sam Calagione graduate from?
ITT Tech.
No, he dropped out. Nobody knows. Alan knows.
Columbia.
Alan, you want to choose somebody that gets a hat?
Eric.
All right. It's Muhlenberg.
Muhlenberg.
I'm not going to throw it. I learned my lesson.
Well, Matt's got a giant chrome dome. It's hard to miss.
I was ducking behind that.
Even when you duck, you're still taller than me. So, like... And I'm on a slope.
I know.
Do we have the next beer?
It's coming.
It's coming. So...
Watch out.
It's American Beauty. Does anybody know what American Beauty is?
A movie?
Not related to... It is. Does anybody know the band? The Grateful Dead. Do we have any Deadheads here?
I like that album.
Do you?
Everything else kind of. That album though is
But there
pretty
was
good.
also that
You have a question?
I mean, living on
Cool ass
living on
hands, right?
Yes.
I've never seen one. Do they exist? Can I get my hands on a few?
They do exist. They are for permanent American Beauty draft lines. If you get one, you shall. All right.
It's good.
Because I do know a guy.
The only dead record.
I might know a guy.
All right, I want to see one tonight.
It's good. Yeah.
So American Beauty is.
It's delicious.
You did have it already. You drank Sean's because Sean couldn't wait, and then you got his.
He's amazing.
I couldn't watch it, but
Typical Union.
I'll take whatever we can.
So we released American Beauty like the last time I think was maybe 2014 was the last time we released American Beauty, and that was in the style of beer that nobody really releases anymore. It was in a bomber. It was in like a giant 750 milliliter bottle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You might be able to find some still in existence somewhere.
50's a lot.
We used to.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore. We learned,
Yeah.
just like everybody else learned.
Yeah.
There are some breweries that have not learned, I feel like, but
Yeah.
yeah, you see them, they're just not fresh.
Oh, wow.
How many milliliters?
750. So like almost like a wine
I
bottle.
was going to say a wine bottle.
Yeah.
I have seen wine bottle size beer, but usually it's just like limited edition
Yeah,
stuff.
they do limited
Well,
releases.
what was that one?
The Three Philosophers by Omagag.
Yeah, those
Very
are-
large
I don't
bottle.
know if they even do that anymore.
Was this a American music series?
I haven't seen it
Yes.
in a while.
So American Beauty was actually no, it's not. So American Beauty was we just decided to
Seems to be a
do.
theme going on.
Yeah, well, we call ourselves a brewery with a music problem, because we're a lot of what we do revolves around music. Because Sam has a very eclectic taste. We actually attempted a collaboration with Pearl Jam once, and
Nice.
you don't look at
God
it.
damn.
You were just like, oh, that's a good So it turns out though that Eddie Vedder is not the best person to collaborate with, unfortunately. So like, I actually the first question I ever asked Sam, like when I went to my tour after I got hired, I was like, what's one collaboration that just did not work out? And he brought up Pearl Jam, and he said like they were super psyched. Pearl Jam reached out to Dogfish Head. It was this awesome thing, and then Pearl Jam like went on tour and was like, yeah, just like do whatever you want, just put our name on it. And Sam, like, I will never forget Sam literally like telling the story, just kind of just folded into himself, and he was like, thanks, Eddie Vedder. And I was like, that's my favorite Sam Calagione quote ever. Just thanks, Eddie Vedder. So yeah, so when we went into the Flaming Lips, we were a little skeptical because we were just like, oh, we kind of like learned our lesson. But
You cannot compare.
Wayne Coyne was like texting and everything, and like he was like animated. He was sending drawings and stuff to Sam, and was like super pumped about it. So that was kind of like when our music collaboration started picking back up again. We re-released our Miles Davis collaboration with like his family, Bitches Brew. We aged it in wood, so you can still find that out around in 6-pack bottles. And then we decided to re-release the Grateful Dead beer. I think it's their, like, there's like, I'm not a Deadhead. I wasn't raised a Deadhead. I'm very young, obviously. But I think it's like the 50th anniversary of something they did this year.
50s?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe not.
Could be this right.
Maybe. But they're on tour. So no, not 50. But some anniversary. Is next year 50? So maybe this was just like the grease for it. Because I know they're like going on a huge tour this year with like John Mayer. Like they're playing City Field, Dead & Co. So I think that was also a big part of it. Woodstock is 50. Yes. Woodstock is yes.
Can I make a suggestion for your music series?
You can make a suggestion on the Dogfish Head website because that's above my pay grade.
I was going to say like Steve Reich or Philip Glass.
Philip Glass. He came out with an Amazon show. I don't think it did very well. No, that was Philip King.
How about Led Zeppelin?
But so we all have American Beauty in front of us, correct? All right. So this beer has a really cool story. When we were deciding to like, what that guy already finished it. I like you. You're like, oh, I don't have the beer. I'm done. When we were trying to decide what to put in the American Beauty beer, we did a survey and we asked a bunch of like deadheads, like, what do you want to see? And it was like 15 suggestions of things that are very illegal. And then it was like granola. So we were like, okay, granola. Why granola? And we reached out and we like learned this story that this guy had from when he was 9 years old. The first concert he ever went to was a Grateful Dead concert at some like festival. And he was with his parents, they were camping out, and he remembers sitting in the tent all day eating granola, and then he was not legally like allowed into the festival, So his mom went around the fence into the concert, and then his dad handed him over the fence to his mom. So that was his first experience with the Grateful Dead, and Sam was like, hell yeah. So that's why we put granola in the beer. So it's organic granola. We do oats and we do honey as well. Somebody has American Beauty in front of them. Yes. What are the hops in American Beauty?
Centennial, Cascade, Mosaic.
Ooh, mosaic.
There you go.
Cool.
And that actually is the tapestry we released this year as well. So those are available maybe on our website. I'm not sure because I don't do the merch on the website. But they're cool. Yeah, this beer is super rad. It's an American Pale Ale. It's not high in ABV. It's like 6.8 maybe less. Bless you. Gesundheit. Salud. Let's do God bless you in every language.
Yeah, I know, right?
Does anybody have any questions about this one?
This is really nice.
Raise your hand. What's the former lead singer of the Grateful Dead's name?
Come on.
Raise your hand.
I have no effing clue.
Yep, right here.
Jerry Garcia, you get a sticker.
All right.
Actually, I have found myself in a couple situations where I've been doing like tastings in grocery stores and people don't know who the Grateful Dead are. And then I go, do you know Ben and Jerry's? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, you know Jerry Garcia? And they're like, I love that. I'm like, Jerry Garcia. And then they're like, no, I don't know who that is. I'm like, well, it's all in the same. So ice cream is the most relatable thing to,
Grateful Dead.
Liquid Truth Serum.
I want a hat.
Well,
You're gonna
we will be doing trivia questions throughout the evening.
Trivia.
Does anybody have any other questions? Yes.
So we got granola suggested from Deadheads. What else went in from suggestion for Deadheads?
Nothing else, because everything else was illegal.
So I'm guessing a lot of them were like weed.
Yep. That might have been the easiest one. I've been questioned why we don't do a CBD beer, and I will tell you one thing. That is expensive. It's very expensive.
Illegal.
No, CBD is
It's not illegal, but the Board of Health gave us a heads up and be like, if you carry that property, you have a hard time. So abandon ship on that ship. We already had that talk in the infrastructure of whatever. They were like, don't do it. So we didn't.
Lesson learned. It's expensive and it's risky.
It is risky. A few months from now, maybe not. As of now, we're not doing it.
CBD is the future. So, right now, we are handing out a beer called Liquid Truth Serum.
LSD.
LTS. So, there is a story about this beer that we don't normally tell people, but I will tell you folks because you seem like nice people. One of the original hiring processes at Dogfish Head was you'd get all the phone interviews or whatever, and then you would get brought down to the brewery. And when you were brought down to the brewery, you'd interview with everybody around in sales, in marketing, in production, and then at the end of the night, you would go out for drinks. So after they got you a little drunk, they got to know who you were and to see like, okay, can I actually work with this person?
That sounds like a great time.
Yeah, so that was the original Liquid Truth Serum method, and then we got a legal department, and they're like, you can't do that, so we had to stop doing that. So we named a beer after it. So Liquid Truth Serum is also like our answer to the haze craze that we all know, and some of us love it, some of us hate it. It's insane what it's been doing to the beer industry. You were mentioning earlier that the beer industry has changed so much since 2010. I would say the biggest thing that has changed since 2010 is the New England IPA. It's not hazy because we're a production brewery. We can't release a hazy beer because it will go out of code in 3 weeks. So
the haze bro doing 10 barrels out of time. You can do that.
Yeah, do your hazy beer at our production level. Tell me what the bill's gonna look like. It's gonna be expensive beer. Yes.
Okay. I mean, it's a little off subject of the beer that we're currently drinking.
Off subject of the beer.
Okay, my question is because I always like to know this, because water is the giver of life, and water is also the giver of beer. How do you go about making sure the water, before it goes into the beer, it's the crispest, cleanest, nicest water again?
At Dogfish Head, I don't remember exactly how many it is, but like we have a lot of people with their like doctorate degrees. Like we have like a bunch of like microbiologists who've been studying for years, chemists, whatever they're called. I clearly didn't exceed at science and math in high school. That's why I'm doing this job right now. Because I was an English major, like Sam Calagione. Yes, and we ended up in beer, just like Sam, so the dream's alive. We have a lot of people doing fancy work that I can't tell you exactly what they do to the water, but I can tell you that they treat it. And that's about all I know. Yes.
Kirsten,
yes.
what do you know about that defunct water treatment plant?
So we actually are one of the biggest like recycling water breweries. So what we do is we take water and we feed it out to local farms, and we treat the water post-production.
That's all the trucks.
The what?
That's all the trucks that are leaving the brewery.
Yes. So we like.
Alan's sitting at his house with his binoculars. What are those trucks leaving?
He's like hopped on the back of one, holding on.
There's a second truck that left there. What's going on?
Sam built a huge water treatment.
Yeah, we have a very big water treatment facility.
That doesn't run.
This doesn't run?
No, it doesn't run.
You might be a stalker.
What?
I'd have to call the cops.
I got friends inside.
Inside the water?
You know John Klein?
John who?
John Klein is a brewer.
John Klein, I don't.
John Van Damme. John Claude? Claude?
Jean-Claude Van Damme?
He works at Dogfish Head.
I know, the brewer I know the best, his name is Dan Weber. I know Dan Weber very well. I don't know if you know Dan Weber. Dan Weber, when we released our Valentine's Day video about making beer, he was wearing a tropical like Hawaiian shirt because he didn't own any red shirts, so he had to wear one from Brian Salters. I feel like you and I are talking right now. Nobody else knows who we're talking about, but you know.
You just said it was personal brewer.
Yeah, they're brewers. But yeah, liquid shoot syrup. It's not a New England style IPA. It's a Delaware style IPA.
Well,
the percentage, I think it's 7% flat. I always messed it up. It might be 7.2, but I think it's 7.
I think you should
7. It's 7.
I think you should send a case to bar.
A case to the bar?
No, case to bar.
Case to bar.
No, the idiot that doesn't want to let the Mueller investigation out.
Oh!
No politics.
Beer ticks.
No religion. We're just.
Well, beer is religion, so we're all screwed there. But.
So, I know that Sierra Nevada has released the hazy beer.
Yeah.
Hazy little thing.
It's good.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying, it could be hazy. I think
it's the Sam Calagione way to not make it hazy.
I think that's exactly it.
Yes. This is our answer to it. It's like, we're not going to do what you want us to do, but we're going to do something that we want.
It's really bitter and not
Really nice. It's really nice.
It's kind of hazy.
It's awesome.
It's not too strong. It's super steamy. No.
This is really nice.
Juicy. Are you guys juice bros too? Are you into the pastry beer craze?
No.
Do you like?
I like Kolsch's.
I love Kolsch's. That's why I like a Seaquench so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, what do they call Pilsner people now?
I hate brewing.
Ladies and gentlemen, 60 minute. Did you just say that 60 minutes is the worst beer?
No. IPA is the worst.
I'm not gonna lie. I find the 90-minute IPA a little too bitter.
Well, that is a double IPA that that's the big brother to 60 Minute. Came out first. It's got a very specific way of how it's brewed. Some people find it sweet, some people find it bitter.
Now, with the name 60-minute, 90-minute, 120-minute, is it really brewed in that time, or is that
Yes. Well, not brewed, but hopped. So, I'm going to talk to you guys about continually hopping, which is actually trademarked by Dogfish Head. So don't even try it.
He built a machine.
He built a machine. So I was not born in the 80s. I was not alive during this time, but apparently something that a lot of people who were in the 80s should know is we had the vibrating football game.
Oh yeah!
So you know it. I don't know.
I'm only 26, but I know what it is.
So it is so basically Sam, when we were starting to open up the brewery and start brewing beer, I'm gonna start asking quiz questions while y'all talk. And you're not gonna get any hacks because you're not paying attention. School's in session, folks.
That's why you need the mic.
That is why I need the mic. No, listen, actually, I would yell if I didn't have the mic. People might pay attention. I yelled really loud. So, does anybody know the story of 90 Minute? How it came to be? Because that's how 60 Minute came to be. Well, 90 Minute came first. 90 Minute came first.
Hockey machine, right?
Yes. So it's the vibrating football machine. So we had this little contraption that Sam set up because Sam was watching a cooking show on TV, and he saw that the chef was adding pepper in increments to the soup instead of all at once. So Sam was like, oh my god, light bulb, let me do this in beer. So instead of adding, when you brew beer, you add hops to the boil for bittering, and then you add hops afterwards in the whirlpool for aromatics and flavor, freshness, whatever. Is my lingo correct, brewers? Close. So Sam was like, all right, screw that. I'm going to do it my own way. I'm going to do it like the chef did his pepper. So he whipped up, he went to the Salvation Army. He found, the vibrating football game, and he put it over with, a bucket attached with, there was holes drilled into the bucket. So basically, he controlled every single hop going into the boil for 90 minutes straight because it had to vibrate down the board. So instead of adding all the hops at once, it was just being continually hopped for 90 minutes. So then he applied that same thing in, I think we came out with 60 Minute in 2003, and he applied the same process to 60 Minute, and now we have the continually hopped, 120 minute, that's a whole nother thing. But, so this beer is continually hopped for 60 minutes straight because it's 60 minutes. So something really easy to remember is it is 6% ABV and 60 IBUs because it is 60 minute IPA. This is the beer that keeps the lights on at the brewery. It's still our #1 seller. Seaquench is creeping up there, but 60 Minute is still our #1 seller. I'm sure you all have had this. Yes, Sean.
Curious, what's your visibility internationally?
I can't hear because all of this stuff.
What's your visibility internationally?
Visibility internationally. So we still are not in all 50 states, and we are only in the United States. We're not anywhere else yet. If we are, we did not put it there.
Are you out in Oregon yet?
Yes, we're in Oregon. We're in Oregon. We are all over the Pacific Northwest. Yes, wherever there's weed legally sold, I think we are also sold. So.
No, the only thing is I got my cousin out there.
Your cousin would love Dogfish Head.
No, if you're not out there, we'll make sure you are.
As long as it's legal. Because we're not allowed to ship beer illegally.
Well, they have both medical and recreational out there.
Yes, they do, and they have Dogfish Head, which is great. So everybody that rolls up to the blunt store can also buy a 6-pack.
What I like about 60 Minute is that, for me, for a lot of people that are been drinking craft beer for a while,
first beer,
it's the kind of that's what IPAs used to taste like.
Yeah.
And they've evolved into what they've evolved into. A little more of a maltier side. The hops are more kind of softer.
Yeah, who has the 60 Minute thing in front of them?
It's good to know that.
You do. What are the hops? Yeah, those are them.
Amarillo?
Amarillo. So I think that's
Warrior and Simcoe are very dang.
Those are the West Coast, correct?
Yeah.
So So Warriors, I will say one thing that I'm not supposed to say. I was told not to tell you, but Warriors typically what we use for bittering exclusively. So yeah, I'm just.
I mean, you're saying it. You're not saying how much.
I'm not saying how much, and I'm not saying at what time. Except 60 minutes is, you know what to do.
I think it's nice to hear that it's still popular seller.
Yeah.
Because
rebranding had a lot to do with that.
Very much of a old style IPA.
Yes. And I think that speaks volumes for a lot of brands like Dogfish Head. Like you have us, you have Sierra Nevada, like Sierra Pale Ale, which
40 years old.
Yeah. Sam's got a lot of stories involving the owner of Sierra Nevada, Ken Grossman, including like moments in a hot tub that I will save that for a later date.
Okay.
But like I said earlier, the first craft beer that Sam ever had was Celebration IPA, and that's what turned him onto beer. So like, if you drink a lot of our earlier beers, you kind of get that same West Coast vibe, even though he was brewing in Delaware, lower, slower Delaware, and that's where he drew inspiration from. Is it about Sierra Nevada? Are you reading my mind right now?
I just know that I do know that the owner of like Sierra Nevada is like a billionaire right now. He's
loaded, and
he's
his
a very
son,
wealthy man.
His son is Brian Grossman. I found this out the the dumbest way. I was up in Boston for Sierra Nevada Beer Camp, and Brian Grossman, that's his son's name, right? Brian Grossman.
Sounds right.
Yeah, it's a name.
Yeah.
I was really drunk and I didn't know who he was, and like I thought he was just this guy that my friend was introducing me to, and he was like, "Yeah, I have a dojo in my house." I'm like, "Me too." And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "No." And then like he was like, "Cool," and he walked away, and someone was like, "That's Ken Grossman's son," and I'm like, "I'm an asshole." Yeah. So he's like a jiu-jitsu master. Don't mess with him. Like and he's totally completely in charge of the North Carolina location.
That's kind of a duty thing to tell somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
But also, like, I was ready to throw down. I was like, hold my hoops. Yes.
No, I was just gonna say, because I know you have a double IPA. And I think that's the 90 minute, or is that the 1?
90 minute. We were the first double IPA in bottles in the country. I will say that too.
Flagship had a double IPA that was really smooth.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. It was so good. I want them to make it again. It was so good.
I feel like this is not a question directed at me. I feel like
had nothing to do with it.
It's not even a question, it's a demand.
I want it back. It was so good.
Do you negotiate with terrorists?
No. You both sell things back, that's all you get.
That's it. Just heard it from the man himself.
I mean, their IPA is legit. It's so good.
Where is Flagship? What is Flagship? I don't even know what that is. Next question. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Ask your union reps.
So actually, something that I told him earlier, which is a little known fact about moi. Who has lived on Staten Island their entire lives? I was born in St. Vincent's Hospital.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, Alan!
He was the first baby.
I am technically not a native Staten Islander. I was born in my grandparents' apartment in Jackson Heights, Queens.
Well, we lived in Brooklyn, and the hospital in Brooklyn stopped taking my parents' insurance, so they took a cab over to Staten Island, and here, Wu-Tang.
We'll take everybody.
That should be the sign when you're crossing the Verrazano. Staten Island, we'll take everybody.
Wu-Tang is filming over on Vanderbilt right now.
So why are we here? Yo, let's go crash that party. Who's in?
Good luck with that.
So, anybody have any questions about this beer? I don't think you would, because you probably have had it before.
I think it's interesting that next to the liquid serum, this seems like so biscuity.
Yes.
And usually, just on its own, it's
really nice.
It's very smooth.
It's.
The liquid for serum I couldn't drink.
Last time we had a 60 minute.
You need to start shipping it down to Washington, D.C.
So, Kirsten, I noticed on the packaging, it says Craft Brewers Alliance.
Seek the seal? Should I talk about Seek the seal?
So what's
Should I
that?
educate the folks?
What's the specifications to be a member of that?
What's the story with the?
Oh, he asked for questions.
There's a lot being thrown at me. So first, okay, I was asked about. So if anybody has bought or seen 60 Minute in a store recently in bottles, you'll see on the packaging the little tiny upside down beer bottle that says it's like we're independent. And then now if you look at the front of a 6-pack of 60 Minute, it says Seek the Seal like in giant letters. So we are part of the Brewers Association, which is an organization started by Charles Papazian. Does anybody know who Charles Papazian is? So Charles Papazian is like basically like the godfather of craft beer. Like he's everyone's like daddy. Like he comes over and he tells you what you're screwing up. He actually brewed a beer with us that was called like Horny Goat Beard or something like that. It was really weird, and I'm like, oh man, yeah, I'm like cool, Dad. So we are part of the Brewers Association. In order to be a part of the Brewers Association, you need to maintain at least over 70, it's not totally 70, it's like, but around 70% ownership. So there are breweries such as Ballast Point, for example. Ballast Point is not a craft brewery because they're not owned by an independent source.
They're owned by Budweiser.
They're owned by Constellations, which owns Corona. So Corona makes Ballast Point. So that is not a craft brewery anymore. We are a craft brewery, and a lot of other breweries are. Sierra Nevada is a craft brewery. Bell's is a craft brewery. You guys from Union can tell you a bunch of other ones. But so every time like you're at the supermarket or the beer store, if you look at your 6-pack, you'll see an upside down beer bottle that kind of looks like a fermenter tank, and that shows you that the beer that you're buying is coming from an independently owned source. So Dogfish Head is independently owned. There's plans to pass it down to Sam Jr. Sam Jr. is not even of the legal drinking age yet, but he has been to his fair share of Dogfish Head parties. But the idea is that it's going to remain a family-owned business. So that's a lot of, at Bell's, it was Larry Bell. Then he passed it on to his daughter Laura. I think Laura bounced, though, the industry, and I think it kind of ended up back in Larry's lap. But like a lot of independent breweries are family-owned, which is like what you guys, I'm sure, see a lot of in your day-to-day shopping in Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. You do get a lot of mom-and-pop shops that still exist. That's kind of going back to our record store day thing. That's the idea of like getting people off the internet, get off Amazon, and go into your local independent record store and like buy vinyl and support your favorite bands and your favorite businesses. That's totally what we're all about. Any other questions?
What's the future of Dogfish?
The future of Dogfish Head is we are going to brew a beer on Mars.
Woo!
We're looking for volunteers.
Did you guys do like somebody did like a Mars dust?
No,
that was, was that in Ninkasi?
Was it Ninkasi?
I think it was Ninkasi that did like a... No, Space Dust is Elysian.
No, Elysian. But like actual...
Yeah, I think that was Ninkasi.
Yeah, it was.
Was it Dogfish?
Who said yes, it was?
Ninkasi.
Yeah, it was Ninkasi. Because they came out with like a really cool bottle with like an astronaut floating on it. It was pretty cool. Actually, I think Sierra Nevada made if you go to Ninkasi's brewery, they have this like big steel gate out front, and I'm pretty sure Ken Grossman like donated it to them. Like Sierra Nevada made it.
You know the beer that you guys did that was fucking phenomenal and awesome is Pangea.
Yeah, Pangea's dope.
Is that ever gonna happen again?
I don't know, so Pangea, I don't think Pangea is going to happen for a long time, but I did hear rumors that Continent is going to happen again, which a lot of people pronounce Your Continent, and then I heard Sam pronounce it Continent. So that's
Your Continent. That'd be kind of the same. You're like the hippie fucking tent.
Whatever it is, I'm like, it's a beer. So Continent is a beer that we made with Google, like way back in the day. They created an algorithm for us specifically to find out what people wanted to see in a beer, and we kind of like made it with all those ingredients. And we had a meeting at Google 2 years ago, and last year, and also like this year. But the one 2 years ago, I remember them saying that beer might come back out soon. So like, I don't know though, because we just did the American Beauty. So there's like a lot of things that happen in a year. But Yeah, we're always releasing like weird ass shit, man. Like we're.
Pangea was awesome. It was like from every continent. It was like they cultivated yeast from Egypt or something like that.
Wow.
Maybe I don't even remember.
It's like I just brought something from each continent.
Yeah.
Beer, which is fucking awesome. I mean, like that is like as like a home brewer starting out. Like that's what you want to do. Beer shit. Like.
Would you bring from
when you make it happen and it tastes awesome? It's even better.
What was brought from Antarctica?
Actually, there is like some random berry I think that comes from Antarctica. There's like some like weird. Maybe it's not a berry because that doesn't make sense. There was something. What is this? What beer do we have?
Flesh and Blood.
Flesh and Blood. Oh, this is the last beer. Aww. So, Flesh and Blood. I see it right here in front of you. I am going to call you out with the Mets hat on your phone all night. And now you're making a mess. No, you have to read it. What kind of hops do we have in Flesh and Blood?
Centennial and Super.
Oh, and
HBC 431.
Do you know what that means? It's an experimental hop that no one has a name for yet. So at Dogfish Head, not only do we get experimental with the ingredients, but we also buy hops that we don't understand, and then we put them in beer, and then that's it. So what we do like for that hop, and we have another hop in a beer called Lupa Luau. We have the exclusive rights to them, and we can't utilize all of it at once. So we actually started selling it to other breweries, except for this one. I think we still have it completely exclusive in-house. So Flesh and Blood is the most expensive beer other than our high ABV series that we brew at Dogfish Head. Sam Calagione, our founder, anytime a check comes into the brewery that is 6 digits or over, it has to go on his desk for him to sign it himself, like beyond our accounting department. And they had a check come in for like $112,000, and Sam was like, "What is this?" And everyone's like, "That's all the fruit for Flesh and Blood." So when we brew this beer, our brewery looks like a bodega or like a supermarket with just like fruit everywhere. So it's brewed with blood oranges, it's brewed with lemon slices and orange peel, and it is this one. I can tell by the color. You guys drink it already? Yes. I'm so slow to this. I'm sorry.
I haven't had it.
You sure?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I've had it.
I think you had it.
Everyone.
I think I'm the only one that hasn't had it yet.
Came around.
I talk a lot. But yes. Oh, she still has it. If anybody wants a little more. So Flesh and Blood is an IPA, 7.3 or 7.5%. I'm not 100% sure on the ABV. I don't know if it even says it on there. But anyways, so it is a citrus-forward IPA. It's got a little bit of a malt backbone, and the reason that we do that is because with all the acidic fruit that we add to it, we have to create more of a malty profile, so it balances it out. We don't ever use like extract flavors. We have one beer coming out called Slightly Mighty that it says on the can that we use extract, but that's just like the verbiage you have to use for that specific fruit. Monk fruit is only considered extract because it's so dumb.
Is that like a percentage problem?
No, I think it's just the way that the ingredient is processed and then put into the beer. Monk fruit is like, it's the whole science thing. But we always use whole fruits, real fruits. Like I said, this is the biggest bill in terms of ingredients. Yes, Alan?
Where does this one figure into the scheme of things?
I can't hear you. Volume? So, I would say it's number 6 for us.
Year round?
It is year round. It does really well like nationwide, but in New York City, it does fall into like a higher price category just because of the amount of ingredients we put into it. So like we don't really focus on it a lot, but it is obviously like still a kick-ass beer. It's really good. If you're the type of person that like goes home and makes your meals by hand and you shop like consciously of like vegetables and fruit, this is totally your beer. But unfortunately, it doesn't speak to a lot of the consumers, and we're working on that. We're trying to educate people more on it so that we can sell more of it. Because it is a really good beer and it costs a lot of money to make. So
excellent.
We gotta make some of that money back. But any other questions on Flesh and Blood? No, it does not include real flesh and blood. We get that.
Is it draft only?
No, draft and 6-pack cans. And every time I pour this beer at a beer festival, at the end of the festival, somebody goes, "Can I have fresh blood?" I'm like, no, I'm not going to give you that.
You're not Angelina.
I'm not a vampire. Though I want to be. Wait, what's that new show? Who knows that new show that takes place in Staten Island? The Vampire Show.
Oh, What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes. Yeah. Watched that last night.
Fly the Concords.
Pretty damn good.
Wait.
What?
Fly the Concords, guys.
Fly the Concords, yeah, because it was a movie. Jermaine.
It was great.
Any other questions on Dogfish Head or Dogfish Head beers? Or my personal life?
I love that.
No one cares. That's right.
Can I get a hat now?
You know what? You can get a hat. But you have to put it on now.
Sweet, I'll do it.
There you go. Alright, so how many hats do I have left? Mike, did you get a hat?
Hat. I'll take a hat.
So we're gonna do 4 trivia questions. And you need to raise your hand. And for this first question, the Union Beer Fellows are not allowed to answer. So, with your hand raised, what is my name?
Kirsten.
It's not Kirsten. It's definitely not Kirsten because I've been called that my entire life. Christine? No. Kirsten, you didn't raise your hand, but you said it right. I'm like, I'll do it. Oh, you don't need. Who do you want to give a hat to?
I am.
There you go, a hat. Woo! Also,
you're the best.
He can get you a hat whenever you want. He just has to order it. Do you like Von Trapp?
I do. Very much so.
Can you guys hook it up? Can I go to the brewery?
Talk to Tim. Tim Stendhal.
Okay.
Tim Stendhal. They'll take care of you.
I only know one rep, and I think it's like he covers everything except New York City.
Yeah.
You don't know Chet?
Oh, Chet covers Von Trapp now?
Chet's Von Trapp.
He's Von Trapp.
Since when?
Since Sawyer left.
February.
I gotta hit it. Chet is the reason I almost died in Colorado at left hand.
I highly believe that.
Most people.
He opened up an Advil bottle and it was not Advil in the bottle, so that was it. I almost died.
Yeah.
What is Sam Calagioni's wife's name? Hand raised. God damn He loves Dogfish Head. Yes.
Mariah.
All right. Second part to that question. What's my middle name? It's Mariah.
Sam Calagioni.
He has a hat. Who do you want to give a hat to?
Mariah.
He has a hat on. That was so smooth. That was so smooth. So yeah, I will tell you the most embarrassing story ever. I was more obsessed with Mariah Calagioni than Sam, just because she's a kick-ass woman. So Mariah Calagioni is the person who started the social media movement for craft breweries. She was the first person to put a craft brewery on social media and have it blow up.
All right.
And yeah, total badass chick. And my middle name is Mariah, so I was like, we're soul sisters. That makes sense. So when we did our training, we do something called Cardiff Ale, and it's an 8-hour session that you sit in the same room and you talk to a bunch of people. And then Mariah shows up, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. And she goes, does anybody have any questions? And I raise my fucking hand, and I go, I have a question. And she goes, okay, what's up? I go, my middle name is Mariah. And she's like, great. And then moves on. And I'm like, but now she follows me on Instagram, so we're all good.
Well, that's cool.
We're good. Yeah. Does anybody... Oh, wait. I have 2 more hats. Okay. What is the name of the beer that I had to chew Blue Peruvian corn?
He knows.
It's interesting when you talked about the spit beer.
That's the spit one.
Yeah. What's the name
I
of
was
it?
watching this documentary of the Werner Herzog film
What is the name of it?
that's set in Peru.
Wait, one second. Who knows the name? No! I didn't spit in that beer. But maybe I did tonight. I'll give you a hat, because you're trying really hard. This is my left hand, so Matt might
Yeah. I'm ready. Come.
All right.
All right, last one.
One head.
What hospital was I born in?
Oh! St. Vincent's!
You love the advance though. You did it. Again, left hand. Oh! Almost. Sorry. Yes.
Alright, so the only reason why I know about the spit beer is I was watching this documentary about Werner Herzog's film Kirkinga or something like that. It's about
I don't know what that is.
Werner Herzog made this film about this German European guy who moved a boat over a mountain.
I'm
But
listening. I'm just gonna count stickers.
He's working with the Peruvian people, and they make this beer out of like corn and their spit and stuff like that.
That's what we did. Who does
But
that?
but the actor Klaus Kinski wouldn't drink it, so they had to give him a glass of like canned milk or something like that, so it would look like it.
Canned milk.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm not drinking canned milk tonight.
Like Klaus Kinski was such a little prima donna, he wouldn't drink it.
Oh, posters! Who likes posters?
Yeah,
Who wants a poster?
There's a cool poster, man.
Oh wait, we actually have. I have 24 more trivia. But wait, how many people are here? Can someone count? Because I'm not going to count. How many people are here? Are there 24 or less?
Yeah, there's less.
Who wants a glass?
Yeah, she should.
I'll take a glass.
Should have. Just letting you know. She should.
How do I turn this off so it doesn't?
Yeah. Do you want me to hit that box? Yeah. Yeah. You and trying not to bad exposure.
I mean, you guys had fun. It was a good time. But I would prefer a little bit of a one. I would just prefer a little bit of a one. Next time. He was so drunk at lunch last week. I went, no. Did you? I told you went to bed at 7:30. You went out. You went to bed at 7:30.
That morning, broken glass
You guys, I know you work for Union. Did anyone else want to?
No, let everybody else.
I had more glassware.
This is beautiful.
I just want to make sure. I figured you had. It's funny, like Mike and I, like we have way too many glasses, but our Dogfish had a glass that we had from the brewery from like 8 years ago broke, so I'm like, we need a new Dogfish.
I have boxes of glasses.
You know, it's funny, I was working at a Walgreens, and a representative from Sam Adams came in and said, this is a box of glasses for you guys, part of a promotion for one of the beers that they were introducing, and
did you get one?
And literally the guy from Sam Adams gave us a box of glasses for the employees of the Walgreens because we sold the beer, and it was like, I was able to take home 2, and I was like, I never expected that, because you know, like a Walgreens, you know, there's one at every street corner.
I used to work for Budweiser before I went to now. I've been here for about 5 years working here. Hey!
Alright. We're done.
Listen up.
Alright, everyone. Give a round of applause. Awesome. Another awesome one. Take one.
Who needs a glass?
Who needs a glass? Bring it out. The merch game is strong. I've heard like just almost as strong as Lord Hobo. That merch game was strong too.
That was a good one.
But they'll still be around in a few years. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, that was awesome. I love nights like tonight. Dogfish, again, has been a brewery for a lot of us. Started out drinking craft. Has that brewery that kind of started off for a bunch of us, like Sierra did. And like, it's great to see that they're still doing stuff, innovative stuff, and pushing the envelope. And I'm very also my favorite thing for tonight is Alan finally grew out his mustache into a goatee. And he kind of looks like Sigmund Freud right now, and it's fucking beautiful. That looks fantastic. I meant to mention that earlier. That goatee is like Nolan Ryan, like baseball pitcher, fucking level. Nice. So, although I do miss the mustache, the goatee is nice. I'm gonna, it's good job. Thanks everybody for coming and listening and drinking.
Thanks, Doug, for doing the thing.
Next month we have another brewery that is kind of like been around for a while and kind of done some staple shit, and Shiner, Texas. We forget there's so many of these ripper IPAs and crazy breweries that we forget there's a bunch of good kind of regular beer out there that people are fucking pushing out.
I'm happy I'm not regular beer though.
No, I mean like regular beer in the sense that like you can crush it and like, you know, I don't know. So that's gonna be awesome. We've had them years ago too. I forget his name. When he came, he couldn't drive. He had to blow into a breathalyzer to drive his car. The rep, he was fantastic.
Oh my god!
So we will have them back again next month. And again, Saturday is the record fair at Flagship. If you're into vinyl, it's going to be fucking cool. And if you like Morrissey, as I feel like I'm the only person, I keep pushing this, like Morrissey's guitar player is going to be a vendor there, which is fucking awesome if you're a Morrissey fan. So aside from that, if you like rockabilly and stuff, they'll have a bunch of that shit. But just the record fair in general is awesome. It's going to help give money to the Maker Park Radio, which are doing insane, awesome, cool shit on Staten Island. We should support. So if you like vinyl, come out 12 to 6 on Saturday.
I have their contract. I can always talk to them when they're there.
Slow down, Lino. All right. It's so square to support local shit. Yeah, so square. Shut up. Slow down.
How incredibly boring.
All right. How incredibly boring. And anyway, support local, and it's gonna be a cool time. And I'll see you all next month. Thanks. Also, one more thing. The Budos Band has a new record coming out next week. Budos Band, and Flagship did a beer for them. It's our American Pale Ale that we've made before, but this time we kind of reformulate the hop structure, and all the malt in it is New York State malt. So it's a little different from before, but it's very same. If you like that beer, it's going to be available in the tap room and then also at their shows next week. Union has picked it up already, yeah. But for those venues, I don't know if it's going to be at other places. You probably can, yeah. The Budos Band American Pale Ale coming out next week.
Upstate New York hops?
It's gonna it's not a New York hops. It's all New York malt.
Upstate New York malt.
Yeah. And we have also with me in May we have our 5-year anniversary.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a bunch of beers coming out for that. We have a sour that's coming out. It's gonna be May 17th. Or May 18th. It's a Saturday.
You should know these things.
I think it's the 17th. 18th. It's the 18th.
What? You don't know?
That's gonna be awesome. So keep that in mind. We made a sour for it, and it's not fun. It's not a kettle sour. It's a legit, scary sour that we put into a tank that could infect the entire brewery. And I don't like it. I'll leave that to you guys. You guys can fucking have that. You can have the hazy IPAs and the sours. I don't want it. But anyway, it tastes good, so that's going to be coming out soon. So keep a lookout for that.
All right.
And Brew for Autism is next Saturday. So like a week and a couple days away. If you haven't gotten tickets, there's still tickets available to buy. But it's close to being done.
Brew for Autism.
And so it's if you don't know about it, it's a charity event for Autism Speaks mainly, but we also donate to local autism awareness charities on Staten Island. A bunch of home brewers. I have 6 pro breweries that are pouring. A bunch of local, vendors for food. There is a VIP ticket this year, so you get there at 10 or 12. 12 and it's 12 to 1. It's VIP.
Alan will be there.
And Alan's goatee will be there. Not Alan. But it's going to be always. If you haven't been before, it's probably the best beer event in the universe. What's that?
In the universe.
In the universe. In the universe, yeah. Just because it's a lot of great homebrew. There's a lot of homebrewers. that put their everything in it, and it's like what's amazing is this is our 5th year, and a lot of the homebrewers that started the first year, 6th year, is it 6?
Yeah.
A lot of the homebrewers that started the first year are now they own breweries.
Yeah.
KCBC, Fifth Hammer, Killsborough, and it's pretty fucking awesome to see that happen. And they're still coming back and making stuff. So
how many breweries in New York case? It's New York City, 40?
Yeah, it's about 40.
And
37, like 5 years ago. I threw my 40 now.
I think you guys just hit 40 local breweries in New York City, which is insane compared to 5 years ago. Also, Big Al's truck almost ran me off the road today. So.
Big Al's truck?
Almost ran me off.
They have a truck.
They have a truck.
That's how you know you're getting big.
Yeah. Maybe Big Al.
Big. They're getting bigger, Alice.
Bigger Alice.
No, I don't. So we got some cool months coming up here, and it's always last Thursday of the month. People don't remember that after 10 years. I don't know what to say. It is what it is. And remember, fucking Mike Friedman doing the beer here, doing the beer at Richmond Republic. And if you want something, if you like something, if you want to drink something, make sure you tell the bartenders that's what you want, because guarantee they can relate to him or whomever that is buying the beer. They know where to get it from. Because the only time that people are going to get shit if you ask for it. So if you like something, you want to drink something, ask for it. Ask for it at your grocery store, ask for it at your bodegas, and ask for it at the bars. And
so Mike Friedman, the man of the hour here, come here, let's get out here. This fine young gentleman went above and beyond. He wanted Dogfish Head so badly that he emailed the brewery and was like, "How do I get your beer?" And then the brewery emailed me, and they're like, "Go help this guy out." And ever since then, but ever since then, man, crushing it. So, ask and you shall receive, like he was saying. But this guy.
Yeah, if you tell me you want it, I will try to get it.
Yeah.
But if you don't tell me you want it, I don't know. There's so many brewers out there, especially now coming out, and it's like, what do I get? But if people ask for it, I'm going to go after it. So you have to tell me you want it. Keep it alive.
Make sure you check out the can selection too, because I feel like everybody sleeps on the cans here. There's a great can selection in the front, and also at Richmond Republic.
Excellent can selection.
And also, if you do go to Richmond Republic, I suggest going there early, because there's a certain dividing line to where it becomes not. I'm not trying to shit on it, but it's like
there's like a witching hour. It's like it gets to a certain point, and it's just everybody's there.
Yeah, Tuesday nights, it's great. We did an event there like during the week. It was great.
Tuesday night is steak night now. It's only next week. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And that's it. And if you're in that area, there's also you go to Talk of the Town. We got to make that happen. Yeah. Talk of the Town. And come by my house on Gibson.
Just swing by.
I got a couple things on tap, and I'll meet and come by. All right. See y'all next time.
Yeah.